Good morning. On behalf of Phoenix Fire Chief Mike Duran and executive staff and Local 493 Union President Steve Burline, we thank you for coming out for our April Pools mock drowning event.
Councilwoman Ann O'Brien used this April Pools event to address drowning fatalities this year.
And only 3 months into 2022, and Phoenix has already experienced 14 drownings, including 4 fatalities, one of them a 2-year-old. Phoenix Drowning Zero campaign goal, 0 drownings, is a lofty one, but it is achievable when adults are hyper-vigilant with kids around water.
Phoenix Aquatic Supervisor Becky Hewlett has a clear message about drowning.
Drowning is something that is 100% preventable. It's not a disease, it is 100% preventable.
Phoenix Fire Chief Mike Duran shared some advice on avoiding little-known ways that toddlers can drown.
Our children depend on adults to protect them and keep them safe, and it requires a constant adult supervision. When I say constant supervision, I also mean anticipating potential water hazards. While it seems incomprehensible that a child could drown in a bucket, a toilet, tragically we witness this all too often. Emptying your cleaning buckets inside them as soon as you're finished, closing your toilet lid are important things and reminders to all of you. Toddlers have large heads and are top heavy, and they can topple over in those. And never, ever, ever leave your child alone in a bathtub. And when it comes to pools, there are a number of steps you can take to optimize protecting little ones. Never leave your children alone, unattended in a pool. Always have a designated child watcher.
Kathleen Mascarenas from SRP defined water watchers for the audience.
As an assigned responsible water watcher, that person maintains direct visual eye contact with anyone in the water at all times.
Steve Burline, president of Local 493, shared his personal experience with calls about drowning.
I came into the fire service in 1995, and just a couple months into my career, I was responded to a double drowning, and I remember the details as if it were yesterday. All those years ago, you never forget these calls. These firefighters and paramedics who are here today, these police officers, we never forget these calls. They, by far, are the most difficult calls to go on. A couple moments prior to us arriving, a festive atmosphere. As several families were having a party, and there were plenty of adults, and everybody was having a good time. And just in a couple seconds, the 2 kids fell in the pool, and we were only able to save one of them. And we need to continue to do everything we can to keep these incidents from happening again.
All right, we're going to conduct our mock drowning event now. So an important thing to tell people is that a drowning might not look like you think it looks. It's not a kid flailing in the water. It's generally they've run out of energy and they begin to float. So it's very important to recognize that a drowning is happening and also to remove the child from that situation. Another very important thing that you're seeing right now is quality bystander CPR. We had a bystander here that happened to know CPR, and they were able to instantly begin compressions, and they also designated somebody to call 911. This is vitally important. We have to have somebody on the line with 911 to receive instruction, to tell our crews where to go, and to be in contact with our people so that we can provide you the best possible service. So it's important that CPR is being maintained this whole time. As you can hear now, some of our crews are beginning to arrive. In the city of Phoenix, all of our first responders are trained in CPR. So sometimes the police department might be there first. Sometimes the fire department might be there first. Whoever shows up on scene is a rescuer that's trained to deliver CPR. In a drowning scenario, it's important to show the crews where to go, where the patient is, and give them the room they need to work. Two members from the Phoenix Police Department have arrived and have taken over CPR from the bystander. These rescuers are going to deliver quality CPR while also gathering information about the event. You'll see that in addition to compressions, they have a face mask they can use to deliver breaths to the patient. Now, it's not uncommon to see one of our rescuers go out and find the emergency crews that are coming. The Phoenix Fire Department is en route to this scene with an ambulance to provide definitive care, ALS care, and procedures to this patient. So you'll notice that CPR has been maintained throughout this entire encounter. It can't stop until crews show up. When our crews show up, we have some more tools and abilities to provide a higher level of care to this patient. And it might seem like a very long time. Our crews do get here rapidly. This is why seconds count. This is why CPR can't be interrupted. And the 911 system needs to be initiated as soon as possible, as soon as the drowning situation is recognized. At this time, a paramedic crew from the Phoenix Fire Department has arrived on scene. You'll notice they're carrying boxes with them. These are so they can get vital signs, and they have critical intervention medications they can use to assist this patient. Now, as you see, our Phoenix Fire Department paramedic crew has taken over for the first responding PD officers. We have members who are gathering information about the event. We have members who are directly contacting the patient, continuing that high-quality CPR throughout this entire event. Crews are establishing IV lines. They're figuring out the medications they want to use. They're also going to be taking care of the patient's C-spine. In a lot of drowning scenarios, we don't know how the patient got to be in the position they're at. They might have taken a dive in shallow water and hit their head. So we're looking at all these things while we're also maintaining their airway while we're performing CPR, so that this patient could potentially have the best outcome they can have in this scenario. Our ambulance crew has arrived. This is comprised of an EMT and a paramedic. And this entire crew, these 6 members, are going to continue to treat this patient, remove them to the ambulance, and take them to the closest appropriate facility to get definitive care. As you can see, there's a lot of things happening in this area, so if you ever do happen upon a drowning scenario, it's very important you give the crews the room they need to work. We have one member of the Engine 7 crew who's preparing critical medications to give to this patient. We're starting IV lines. And when they have those secured, they're going to work on an airway for this patient as well to make sure that they can provide ventilation and oxygenation to this patient as they transport her to the closest appropriate facility. At this time, the crews are taking care of the patient's spinal consideration while putting her onto a spine board, and they're going to load her onto the gurney so they can begin to remove her to the hospital. This time can seem like an eternity while it's happening. Our crews are working diligently so that this patient can have the best possible outcome following this tragic scenario. Our crews have now, they're oxygenating the patient. They have a bagged valve mask to deliver ventilation. They've completed an IV, they've given medications, and now they're going to leave for the hospital, code 3, which is the manner that we have our lights and sirens on, where we go in a controlled manner to the closest appropriate facility. And this is another great time to remind you that when you see sirens and lights, please pull to the right. Give our crews the space they need to get to the hospital safely so that this patient can have the best possible outcome. Our patient has been treated, they're being loaded to the ambulance, and this will conclude our mock drowning. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to our crews, thanks to our model, thanks to our community partners, the City of Phoenix. Thank you, everyone, for coming out here. Help us achieve drowning zero. For more information, visit Phoenix.gov/fire. Follow us on social media for more drowning and summer safety tips throughout the year.